Hi there, I'm Danny Henderson. Welcome back to my beautiful channel. It's April 1st. April Fools, are you kidding? There are no fools on this screen right now, but two very passionate women that have your best interests at heart. And big love to you before we start. My friend today and my guest today, friend first, guest second, is the lovely Marishka Richet. Marishka Richet. Her name is beautiful and I said it wrong. Marishka Richet. And we met in Costa Rica when we were both living there a couple of years ago. And Marishka is an incredible musician. She was at our last Jessic. A lot of you met her and her husband, Matisse. They play ancient instruments and oh, so much more. Marishka Richet, my love, how are you? Welcome, darling.
My name sounds like lingerie, doesn't it? Marishka Richet. Some sexy French lingerie.
It is sexy. Marishka Richet.
Oh,
Well, there's only one of you,
hello,
girlfriend. Hello, love.
hello, dearest Danny. How are you?
So happy to have you here. So excited about our conversation today. And so excited to, again, gift you to the beautiful audience that will see this, because as you and I both know, the way for healing and coming together and us clearing our past, present, so we can be present in this future moment is sound, light, and frequency. And this is something that you give as a beautiful gift, which we'll get into. But first of all, why don't we share a little bit? Because I don't want people to come on my channel and look at all these incredible guests I have. I mean, I'm going to brag here. I have the most incredible, stunning, beautiful, gifted, loving guests that are attracted to me and this platform. And I'm blessed and thank you all. And so with that, it's not all like, we're all having the greatest life and we're all so evolved and we're all so enlightened. No, we're on a journey too, which is why we can speak our truth, right? So Marishka, it's been a bit of a shit show for you the last couple of years, my love, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It certainly has. It really, really has it's been big. I've always been very, very real, very authentic. And when the shit does hit, I don't run from it, because I think it just becomes harder and more difficult. So it's like, okay, you just got to let it land and deal with it. And we've all got issues and tissues and dramas going on. And a lot of the time as well, it's stuff that's coming through that's not even necessarily ours. It's like stuff from our lineage. But we just see these patterns keep playing out. And we're like, what is this? So for me, for many, many years, when stuff shows up, I really try and do my work. I don't let it fester and linger and become a shit magnet, for other things start becoming attached to it. So yeah, it has been very, very difficult. When the pandemic hit, we left and we went to Costa Rica because we knew it was just going to continue to get worse, and we knew that we couldn't cope. We couldn't cope here, and we would try and speak out to our nearest and dearest about how we felt because we knew something was going to come many years before. And so when it did, we were very aware that it was just going to get from bad to worse. And folks were just like we were nuts, and we were like, okay, well, we've just actually got to then look after ourselves. And so we left. We put on our invisible coats, and we left. And that was like some of the best years of our lives. I think it was just so powerful being in Costa Rica. You just had to deal with yourself. There was no distractions. There was no shopping. Like we're now back in England. And I'm like, there's just shops everywhere all the time. It's like shopping, 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 shopping. What do you do with your pastime? You go shopping and you buy even more crap that you like, and your house gets even more full and full of cobwebs, and you're just constantly clearing out all the crap, and you continue to put more stuff in, and you can't think and you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Whereas in Costa Rica, it was jungle and it was nature and it was water, and you were really a part of the elements, which made you then be more in touch with yourself. So you dropped into your soul, you dropped into your essence, into your being. And it's not always beautiful. This work is not often easy. It's often quite traumatic. You've been sat maybe in a pity party for a while, bit of a bath full of poo, but you've been comfortable there because it's just what you've known. But then when you come to the realization of, hang on a minute, this is not pleasant, it doesn't smell very good, and I'm uncomfortable, what are you going to do about it? And so for us, we got to that point in our lives where we couldn't disguise anymore and we couldn't run and we had to deal with ourselves. And it was just amazing. Like I said, it wasn't easy. We were on our knees. It was painful. And, because we were there together in Costa Rica and we shared a lot of our woes together. And it was tough. But now coming back 3 years later, coming back into England, and a lot of things just feel the same. It feels really weird. It's like entering back into the matrix, but we've come back in a new way. We're like totally like we're more stealth, and we just don't tolerate nonsense. And there's just some things we just don't show up to. We just don't engage in. Things just don't even come into our field anymore because we have shifted, our consciousness, our perspective, our spirituality, whatever you want to label it, has changed. We really did some big work, and it continues. It's not like, oh yeah, done, tick that box. No, it's constant. It's constant.
Especially with all the energies on our planet. And again, people forget that this beautiful being, this love bug, this sentient mother that we literally live on, we harmonize with her. We're in agreement. We're in a soul agreement with her soul to live on this planet. And that is not wishy-washy bollocks. That is fact. And people are getting spanked who've never done any work, never taken any accountability. And it is painful. We're at the point now in terms of consciousness where those who have just satiated and numbed out, and which I've done a bit of that through my whole life to block out trauma, as you have, and violence and pain and this and that. But there's nothing more great for self. One of the great things is like really looking in that mirror and really honoring the person that stands there and really loving and blessing them and saying, well done, mate, you made it this far. And then thinking about some of the things that we can take responsibility for. Again, never going back into being the martyr. I am here to save everyone. Or being the victim. Look at what happened to me. It always happens to me. We need to have that frequency, that bandwidth in the middle. So we can look, without being heroes and martyrs, and, write letters to people and apologize for your part in something and let it go. Don't expect them to come back. You stay engaged in the energy loop. You want to stop those loops so you can feel who you are in your own energy frequency. Now, we met in Costa Rica, as you said, and people watching this might go, oh God, it was all right for you. You fled to Costa Rica and you got out of the worst of the pandemic and all that nonsense that was going on here, the military militia regimes that were in place, clonk, 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 right across the world. But actually, for me personally, living in Costa Rica, although there were amazing, beautiful things, I lived on top of a mountain, I bought a house, I hermited for nearly 2 years. It was a really intense journey because there's only you, and you have to face you. I mean, you can drink all day, which is not advisable for anyone, or you can really recognize, you better recognize. And also living in the jungle canopy alone, the noise, the cicadas, you really do come to understand that the idea of being in nature is amazing and beautiful and wonderful. Yet there are certain elements of nature which completely bombard your mind, body, and soul. And I've said it before, my friend Sheila Ulrich called me one day. She's like, oh my God, are you in New York? I'm like, no, I'm sitting on my veranda in the jungle, under the jungle canopy, and the cicadas have burst, these crickets that come out every 17 years, millions. We've got whooping that I again, people can mock, I don't care. The whooping of the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the monkeys, the howler monkeys, what a noise they make. I mean, they're quite beautiful, but you don't want to see them fighting over trees together, which they were, because on my mountain, the building work, I mean, they've taken, I would say, pretty much a minimum of a third of the mountain in the last 3 years, which changes the land. There was flooding, landslides. And I was in the town of Santa Teresa, where I didn't know when I went there, but it is where the billionaires and the millionaires and the most beautiful people in the world go,
Yeah.
And everyone's dead skinny and dead this, and they're all surfing in the ocean, and all these skinny girls that don't eat, they're all rescuing the dogs because there are so many dogs, and it's this great life and it's this big fantasy. I can't tell you how many people died on that road, on the village road. It is a terrible road in this little village. It's mile and a half long, Santa Teresa, with all this little shops and boutiques. And yeah, sure, there's beautiful stuff. Of course there is. But oh my goodness, it is often a shock when we have this fantasy idea, Costa Rica or anywhere. And then we get there, because at the end of the day, wherever you go, there you are with
There
all
you are.
stuff. It's never going to
Yeah.
go. So Marishka, let's get into the music.
Yeah.
How can you help people get in and release without having to go into the agonizing, deep, deep pain? How can you help them?
So Matisse and I have come up with combining our work together. Matisse is my husband. We've been together for 15 years and he's amazing. He is a classically trained musician. He went to a conservatoire at age 5 and then carried on training until he was 18 and then came over to England. And he has been working with sacred instruments for, I think, probably about 8-9 years. And myself, I trained in sophrology. I'm a life coach and a relationship coach, and I have various different healing modalities that I work with. And I have natural spiritual giftings. I come from a long line of amazing, powerful women on my mother's side, my Irish side. I'm Irish Indian, and also through a near-death experience, it opened me to many beautiful and really dark shit that you see, but I'm able to rebuke and send away. But yeah, like giftings. And so Matisse and I have started weaving our skills and our blessings together. And so now what we're offering people, because we understand that it's really important that people are doing their own story, doing their own journey. It is incredibly important for us to go on this collective mission together. But a lot of what's happening now is people's own traumas coming up. And so Matisse and I are coming together and we're offering a transformational sound ceremony that is tailor-made for the individual. So what a session would look like, a snapshot, it would be you meet with me. And it's like a coaching session, but a rather intense one. We do some breath work, we set our intentions, we sit and we get grounded together and we talk. You know, you might bring up some stuff that you know is causing some problems in your life. You might feel that there's some blockages going on, and I will help you get to the root cause of things. And then this is done online. If you want to be in person with us, even better. But most of it's done online. Then I will take away this information, and Matisse and I will work with the sacred instruments, and we make a sound bath that is catered to your specific needs. Now, this might be going in and trying to remove some trauma that's gone on in your history, in your family lineage. It might well be that you've got a physical ailment that's going on. It might be that you keep playing out patterns in relationships. So we're working with sound, frequency, vibration, which we are. We are that. That's whom human beings are. So working with the sacred instruments and working with light, with love, with intention, we can help release ourselves of some of the bondages that we are in.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was totally captivated there, because what you say is so true. We are sound, light, we are frequency. And when we have, I mean, you play sacred instruments. We are going back just millennia on the sound frequency. Yeah. That your instruments not only are tuned to being 432 hertz, not 440, which is what the Rockefellers, I can't believe the influence these Muppets, these soft, less murdering, whatever, families have tried to impinge on this beautiful planet. But now we're reconnecting to our natural frequency, and your instruments are tuned to that frequency. And so I love the idea of what you offer. And I love the idea that people can sit in front of you and they can say, this is what's going on, or not. They don't have to give it all, but asking for you tuning in, because you're an amazing reader of energy in people. And then you and Matisse create a beautiful, beautiful sound bath, which then you send to them for their own personal use. They put their headphones in, they lay down. Imagine the frequency healing in the body that will occur and that does occur. And I know you recommend, up to 3 sessions, but each person you'll take, from where they're at, in their situation in life at the moment. But we're all so addicted as a world, especially in the Western world, of having readings, running to the next psychic and the next psychic. And that's all great. That can be also so healing and amazing. But I think I know, as you do, there's a ton of people right now on this planet who don't need the words. They don't want to be told to look for this in the future. Oh, the man's coming in, or the job's coming in, or the money's coming in. They know they got to get clear in their vessel.
Yeah.
And I feel the brilliance of you and Matisse, your musical ability, which we've had on my channel, guys. You guys watching? We have had Matisse and Marishka at least 2 or 3 times before, where they actually, because on Zoom we can't play the instruments, the sound doesn't carry on Zoom. And I had them create for you guys a literal sound bath with their instruments. It's on my channel. So you can plug in, lay down and listen to their music. But imagine having one tailored just for you, or for your child, or for your partner. It is so incredibly, Tesla knew about this, Nikola Tesla. Oh my gosh, his name just escaped me. The other, oh my gosh, so many musicians. Edgar Casey, but not just musician. Who am I trying to think of? It'll come back to me, but let's put me both on screen with you here. Because so this offering to help people to synchronize, to let go of, all of dis-ease comes from emotion, energy and motion that gets stuck, traumatized, frozen in these beautiful bodies. And we don't always realize that. But now is the time to really bring all the healing modalities, put them all on the table for us to enjoy, in this healing journey. So give me some examples. I know you've helped so many people. I've met some, I've heard you speak of them, and I've seen the testimonials, and you've been doing this for such a long time. Tell me some of the breakthroughs that people have had with you and Matisse, individually and together, where you share your music with them.
I recall a lady when we were in Costa Rica, and we did a transformational sound ceremony where it was, I think there was like 12 to 15 people together. And we said to the people at the beginning, be aware if there are any things occurring in your body at the beginning. Are there any aches, any pains, or are there things that you want to bring to the table? It's like setting your intention. How do you want this session to help you? What do you want to shift? And it was about physical stuff. And we didn't ask people to share with us at the beginning. We just asked them to be mindful of that. And at the end, one of the ladies came to us and she was like, listen, I've had this terrible pain in my ankle for some time. It's like my ankle keeps collapsing. It keeps going out on me and it's swollen. And by the end of our session, she had no more pain and she didn't even have the swelling. She didn't even have the swelling anymore. Like, it was, for her, she could physically see that the swelling had gone and she could feel that the pain had gone. So the instruments they're amazing. They work on that cellular level as well as that physical level. And who knows what else is going on? If we open ourselves to it, you enter into a vortex with the sacred instruments. It's a two-way relationship, though. They do their work, we do our work, but then also, it's three-way, that also then our guests, the person we're working with, they also need to open themselves to it and believe and accept and want themselves to be released and be healed. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. Children absolutely love the sacred instruments. They really do. When we were in Costa Rica, because we have a 7-year-old ourselves, we always want to try and get our child mixed into all these wonderful things that we create, and we bring in other people. And so we would bring out the sacred instruments every day and we would let the children experience them and also play them. When the children got to have, especially there's one instrument called the ravast, it's like a handpan, the ravast. They would love it. It's so musical and it's really accessible, and it's very, very playful. And then through that, the little ones would just feel very at ease with it. And you could see it would spark joy in them. They would become more open. They had sparks in their eyes. Um, yeah, it's wonderful. Every instrument seems to have its own personality. And of course, then it has its own healing frequencies. They're a joy to work with. They're absolutely amazing. But a lot of it is also to do with the intention that is set. How do you activate them? How are you requesting them to respond to what we require? It's powerful stuff. We feel very, very blessed. And it's an honor to work with them. You know, I think, without sounding rude, but I think a lot of people are starting to pick up like a Himalayan bowl, and they dong it, and and they do a little bit of music, and they call themselves sound healers. It's so much more than that. Like, Matisse is classically trained, and he's been working with sacred instruments for a really long time. And I think it's very important where we place ourselves and whom we place ourselves with, because you can have one not very good experience of a sound bath and go, oh, that's it doesn't really work for me, it doesn't vibe for me. But I think it's really important to place yourself in the right environment with the right people, and then set your intentions, and you can have a miracle. You truly can have a miracle. I've had plenty of them. I think it's amazing. We played the handpan last night, and I was like, oh, we wanted a bit more joy in our lives. And so my husband got out the handpan, and my little daughter and her friend were over, and it turned into like we were like cherubs. It felt like like we all became like these little love beings, were like shooting arrows, and we're like all beaming and speaking affirmations over each other. It's just got this little love bounciness to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just so beautiful. You know, the music industry as a whole, especially the hip hop and the rap element, the black mafia elements that also plug right into that. The the people at the top who've been controlling. We're watching the demise and the collapse of that, and it is going so fast. Like, no one is safe in hip hop, in Hollywood, and we're seeing that is two certain systems that collide together, that have been holding a lot of people around the world in stasis from growing. And the way the music has been manipulated. And again, there was and has been and is so much proof and intel on many music makers and record companies who would literally bring in witches and warlocks, people trained in the dark cults, the dark occult, and have them pray and do ceremonies over many of the records that you and me and children and our parents and grandparents, this has been going on for decades. So we don't know. We plug in, we're listening in, and we don't know. And that is, again, another reason why at this time where we are freeing ourselves from the binds that have tied us since birth, we're born into this system of enslavement on this planet where the systems are already in place, getting to the purest frequencies that just blow through the body in the most beautiful way. I mean, it's stunning. I've witnessed, I have been around, I've heard, I know what you and Matisse bring, to aid in the unification and the unified healing of everybody. And it's so exciting to think that, someone could come to you and you would listen, and then you would figure out where in the frequency energy system of them could you be more, to the point with the instruments. And then you create a beautiful piece, you send it to them, they plug in, they listen, and then each time they listen, that's the great thing of reading. You read over and over and over, listen to it, it's words. Has it happened yet? You're going to meet the man. Is the money coming? You're going to get a job. Not to mock readers. I've read for thousands and thousands of people, but we're at a different stage right now of consciousness. Words, it is actually a barrier. Now we need the sound, the light, and the frequency to raise us up. And so it does give me, I've got goosebumps, like such joy.
Me too.
God bumps, good bumps, frequency bumps. This is the truth, the unconditional love, that we bring. As you know, I love to share who I consider the greatest people, the most loving, the most unconditional, the most talented people on this channel that bring us disclosure in all its elements. You know, I mean, who knew that we can literally heal and the cells in the body respond to frequencies, to harmonies? This is ancient information. So if you have a disorder of cells in your body, they literally respond to the 432 hertz frequency and can reorganize and unblock. I mean, tell us more about the science behind this and what you know to be true and what I'm saying.
Well, that would be Matisse's. That would be Matisse's playground. Like that's where that's his zone and his element. I'm like his sidekick when it comes into the sound. So I think that it would be best to have him go into that with you, because I'll probably balls it up and you'll be like, that wasn't right, Marishka, that was incorrect.
Oh, I don't,
so I think it's probably
I don't know everything. Goodness me. No, I think you're putting yourself down there a bit, because you do know. You
oh bless, thank you, thank you, thank you. But it's we are energy and vibration and frequency. So it makes sense that, well, it doesn't make sense, but we have been tampered with for eons on every single level. And one of the main areas in which we have been toyed with is with energy and with frequency. And if we can now, we are, consciousness is rising, it is shifting and it's changing. There's nothing that anyone can say or do about it. It's happening. It's up to us as individuals how we are going to move and shift and change with it. And so for me, I'm like, I don't want to come back around again to this nonsense. I want to be a part of the new earth of consciousness rising and shifting. And I understand that using various different healing modalities are going to help me shift. I don't want to be attached to ancestral lineage. You know, we can sit and we can talk about things like you said, but then it's like, how do we get into the nitty gritty of it? How do we actually energetically sever and break away these ties? And I know for out of personal experience that the instruments, the sacred instruments, and the intention, the prayers can do that. It can do it. I've had a very troubled background. I'm Irish Indian mix. My parents were not allowed to be together. Irish working class mother, Indian elite father, African Indian. They were not allowed to be together. There was a lot of trauma gone there. And when I started, when I was growing up and understanding and looking at why they weren't allowed to be together, and then how did that affect me, like the being abandoned at birth and the rejection, and then looking at what was my father's story, and then what was his father's story, and my mother's father's story, and her father's story. I could see there was a lot of daddy issues, a lot of daddy problems. And I was like, I am stopping that here. That stops with me. I'm not carrying it on. And it took for me to take stock, to take notice, to look into my lineage, to ask some uncomfortable questions to my father, to tap into stuff that had gone on in my mother's side. And how I stopped it was through the acknowledging, writing it down. So it was like bringing it into this realm, and then working with the sacred instruments. They made all the difference because they go in on so many different levels. They can penetrate into your physical being. They can work on the energetic level. And then they go out into the atmosphere of what we don't even really understand. We have no concept, really, of what we are made of and what we're capable of. But what we do know is we need to clean up. We need to clean up ourselves. And then to clean up ourselves, then you automatically are going to expose other things. You expose things around you, you expose your things that's gone on in your family, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, like when you think about it, when you hit something, it sends out a frequency, right? So you're not just going to touch that instrument and that's where it stays. It then vibrates out. That's the same as us. Something penetrates our being, it shakes up our system and continues to move out. Yeah, it's amazing, and we're just starting to understand everything. It's all so very exciting where we are at. And for Matisse and I, we're in it for the bigger picture. We want to help unity come together, unity consciousness. We want to help people shift and change and release themselves of the bondages that have been placed on them. And we truly believe that we can help with intention and the music, the vibration, the frequencies. They work hand in hand. And like you said, this is age-old stuff. It's nothing new, guys. It's nothing new that's being brought to the table. We're simply bringing back that was what was taken away from us. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it into the light, and we're saying, come on, let's shake stuff up. And Matisse and I also are really about bringing folks together, because it has been quite a lonely journey for many of us, especially for those of us who have been at it for many years. You know, I started my spiritual journey when I was 16. I'm now in my 40s. And, you know, I've had physical encounters with other beings, from big old lizards to some crazy greys to some beautiful angelic beings and amazing, my galactic family I've had the privilege of meeting. And you know, I didn't speak of stuff until, you know, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I wasn't really sharing with people because you would be hospitalized, or you would be shunned, and it was a scary time. Whereas now, so many of us are going, oh, it's safe for me to share. Oh, I've got a piece of the puzzle to add to this. You know, we are in magnificent, amazing times, and it's time for us to come together and share and sing our blood songs, to unite and come together and bang those drums so we can be heard. We've been silent. We've been silent for so long. We've been broken and held down for so long. Now is our time to rise, and let's rise together, shall we?
Beautiful, beautiful. And in that rising, a gentle reminder to you beloveds out there. I love sage. I got me a little bit of sage.
Yes.
I'm traveling again at the moment across the world, somewhere in a beautiful country, for various reasons. And I'm in the hotel, and, you know, many people have been here and they've slept in the bed and they put their head on the pillow, and all those things gross me out. But that's natural and normal. So what do? I get my sage, and I just, you know, and I say, you know, in the room, like, you know, to move out all energy of anyone that came before. I sage the pillows, I sage the mattress, I sage under the bed. Be careful it doesn't drop ash, because it will go on fire. But this again is ancient technology, literal technology that our planet gave us for many different reasons. It literally scientifically disinfects an area where right? Neutrons, neutronas, atoms, etc. It clears and shifts, and it's been used by our indigenous brothers and sisters who have been silenced, you know, for millennia. Yeah, beautiful. I'll just also say what I do is this is my favorite incense, the Nag Champa. It is as cheap as chips. It is all over the world, and I absolutely love, love, love the smell. And I put it on this, just one of these little, you know, wooden nothing, because I'm traveling. So I've got at home, I've got like a beautiful wooden box. So you can store the incense in this little secret hatch, and you can stick it up in the box, open the box, and so it doesn't drop, because incense will drop. It drops everywhere. But again, as part of your healing, guys, reminders of the ancient technology that you can use every day. If you're not in a place,
absolutely,
get a musical sound bath for you personally. These are the other things that you can be doing right now. You know, and really, you know, I couldn't sleep last night. I was out on the balcony here looking. I'm like, are the craft coming in? Is that why I'm being woken up and can't sleep? Like, what's going on? I didn't see any craft last night, but I was still out there looking like, what am I supposed to be doing? This is just feels, but there's such a massive shift. And how has your sleep been lately, lady?
it's been super, super non-existent. Like, it doesn't matter how much concealer I put on. I've got my, you know, I've been putting Chanel on, Christian Dior. It just doesn't matter. It's not happening. I look so tired.
Flower.
But we're stunning. My little girl Gaia, she's so beautiful. Before she left out today, I was like, "How does Mummy look, Gaia?" She's like, "You do look a little bit tired, Mummy. But remember, it's not about how you look. It's about how you feel." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're so sweet. She's so sweet." And I think that it has been difficult. It's been very difficult for so many of us. And I think it's very important to have these tools, like you speak of the sage, the Palo Santo. So, all of these things are really important. Like for me, movement every day is key. Shifting that stagnant energy, getting out into nature, even if it's cold and it's wet and rainy, try and get yourself out there. Get earthed, take your shoes off. You know, even if you sit on a chair and you just have your feet out and you can maybe try and put them on a little bit of soil, touching a tree, getting earthed, getting grounded. And really importantly, but super simple, is gratitude. It instantly lifts your vibration. There's always something that we can be grateful for, whether it's you've got a roof over your head, that you've got your health, that you're able to walk, that you can see, that we've been made for such a time as this. It's absolutely phenomenal, the time that we're living in. There's so many things to be grateful for, and you know, that can shift and change everything, because we are living in incredibly challenging times. Like it's been tough for so many of us, and I think that's also what's been difficult, is you can't even maybe seek solace with one another because we're all really going through it. It's like you can't even really lean in because we're all a bit wobbly. But that's the time to go really internally and go, I've got to sort this stuff out. I've got to listen to my own my what's going on inside me. What is my story? And if you need to release yourself of relation on you, then you've whether it's family, it's friends, if it's not serving you and it's not healthy, you've got to let it go. And then you'll find yourself in a space where you have more clarity to be able to see what's been holding you, what are the patterns that are playing out, and then you can release yourself. And don't worry, it might be a bit lonely for a bit, but then your tribe are going to start to come in. You know, sometimes you have to sift out some shit to make space for the new to come in. And I feel that's what's going on with a lot of us. We're having to release what doesn't serve us, and it's going to be lonely and uncomfortable for a minute, but then the new is going to start coming in. And the new can't come in if you've not given it space. You know, we can't have these clogged up vessels. We're all clogged up. We've got to release ourselves of what doesn't serve us and the patterns that have been playing out. I don't know, a lot of them are things that we haven't done. You know, we've been messed with so much that a lot of us are just confused. We don't even know. But, you know, so we've got to start educating ourselves more and then making the changes and do the things that we know helps us. Because there's no more time. We haven't got time to waste anymore. You know, there's no more time to mess around, to fool around, to go at a steady, gentle pace. No. Get your big girl pants on, pull down your cap, brave heart, and let's move forward, shall we? Love and light, but a little bit of fuck you, I say.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, you know, it's like if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. And this is the pattern breaking time. If you keep doing the same thing, you know, let's say if someone's on a weight loss journey. A friend of mine just dropped 25 pounds by just doing this. Getting up early, drinking water, focusing on her plan for the day, making a plan, having a schedule, engaging their brain in a schedule. If we have no mission, if we have no minimal plan, even if it's to watch something, then the brain starts to wander, we start to get into habits and we become unconscious. If we align ourselves every day, a little bit, get up, be kind to yourselves, play good music, whatever. And what she did was she got this natural herb called berberine, and she also fasted. So she would wait to eat in the day. I think she would get to about 1 o'clock. She'd drink fluids in the morning, water with lemon, and she dropped I think 25 pounds in I don't know, a month or 6 weeks, something really. I'm like, how did you do that? And she's like, well, she lives intentionally. Her name's Diane Forster. She won't mind me sharing that. She's on my channel, and she's one of America's top life coaches. But I love Diane Forster because she walks her talk, and that's what we. It's like you're sitting with me right now, and I'm sharing your brilliance and your greatness and your the capabilities you have to help so many, because you walk your talk, you live it, you own it, and then you just keep on perfecting from your healing first to then what you can bring to others. I do want to say to people, very importantly, those of you that run schools, that, you know, work at schools and colleges and universities or rehab centers, hospitals, anywhere where you know people are in need of support and growing. Marishka and Matisse, they can do a beautiful sound bath for your children in school, for them to plug in, for them to sit and watch and meditate with this musical instruments. At the schools, rehab centers, colleges. I mean, right, and this isn't new, you've done this for so long. You've been involved in the education system for 30 years, something like that. Give us a little bit of background on your academia.
Yeah, Matisse and I have both been working in the education sector for many, many years. It's tough to do work in it now because there literally is zero funding and they're not really letting people in. But what's really sad is it's now the time we really need it, because people really, really suffered during the pandemic. You're starting to see what are the effects now on the children through not being allowed to cuddle and touch one another and go near each other, through trying to learn to read and write, but someone's got a mask on and so they can't see their mouth, they can't see their tongue and their teeth and how they're actually articulating. And then also, you know, all of the other stuff that was going on, it's all starting to come out to the surface, and they're giving it all different sorts of labels, which is a shame. And then they're medicating and so on and so forth. And it's not that. It's so not that. We need to try and help them undo this awful spells and programming that was put on them during that time, and how they weren't allowed. They had to do a lot of work on a screen, you know, and so there's a lot of addictions now with screens. They want to be on the screen a lot, and so they're not being outside in nature. They're not connecting through imaginary play. But my husband and I, for years, we have a company called You Me Arts, and we would run holistic programs in schools, in youth centres, with the young and the elderly. And we would go in and we would use the vehicle of performing arts and using the sacred instruments to bring about a space where people could just be. They can just let it be. They can play, they can sit and listen. And it was a healing space, and people would just share. The children would always tell you stuff that they'd been experiencing that was really heavy, and they'd suffered quietly, when no one had given them the space or time to be able to share that, and they were scared. But somehow this space was created where they felt vulnerable enough to be able to feel safe enough to be able to share what was going on. And then through the different healing modalities, we were able to help set them free of these bondages that they were in. It was really powerful work, amazing. Like, I think for me, that's some of my, it makes me shiver and quiver all over, because there was so many breakthroughs with the young ones, so many breakthroughs. I absolutely, I love it. It's amazing, because I think if you can drop those seeds into those brand new gardens, who knows what that tiny love seed will grow into. You know, like we are all leaves, but we're all coming from one big old tree. And so I think putting these powerful the knowledge into the young ones is so very important. And Matisse and I do that. We can work with 4-year-olds to 84-year-olds. It's not about age, you know. Age is it's a number. It's about the places you've been to, the food that you've ate, the books that you've read, the people that you've sat with. It's about what you do with your time, you know. And all of us, we all need one another. You know, we need tribe, we need community, we need unity. And with the work that we do, everyone can tap into it. It's free and open to everybody. It's accessible. Thank God, is it so very necessary at this time that we're in.
You know, you totally lit up. You know how I can look at people even through the screen and see their literal layers and energy frequencies. My God, girl, you just lit up, because that is your zone of brilliance and genius. And the children, again, for you, and the inner child in everybody, that is where you shine so much. Now, I've always had the biggest issue with the entire education system, and again, scorn, and how dare they forever take away music, art, and drama. How dare they take away from our most impoverished children to our wealthiest, most privileged children? How dare they take away from the creative ability in each individual child, no matter where they're from? The people that did that from the controlling system, they will be swiped off. We will bring it, we will enforce it, we will lovingly bring it to everybody. And this is what you're doing. You are penetrating a dark, missing a hole that's been covered up of the children and the seedlings, as you said. This is where we're at. It is so important, beyond crucial for every child to be
Absolutely.
healing and dancing and moving. And you know, our beautiful conference every year, you've been there the last 2 years. You have witnessed how we bring music into everything. You brought your sacred instruments last year. And there are people that come of every age, every single age, up to their 90s. They come to the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection because they know they're going to meet soul family, star family. And one of the things I love to do is, as we start each session, put on a crazy song, a 1960s or whatever, something that's going to move people. And there are people that get up, and nobody has to do it, but all the weirdest weirdos and the blackest sheep in the world are in that room. They have been so shut down and they can't do anything because people are looking at them in their normal world. But in that room, everyone is a freakoid. Everyone is a nut job, a loser, what they told themselves, right? And so they're coming together and they're raising in them. There are people that have told me, emailed me, called me, told me to my face, Danny, I only dance at Jessic. I just stand and wiggle around in my seat, or I stand up, or I dance with the person next to me. Again, I don't ask for it. I don't say, turn to the person. I hate all that bollocks. When you go, shake hands with the person next to you. Tell them one good thing about themselves. Turn around and smile at 4 people. No, I'm shy, believe it or not. I don't want to do that. But if the music moves me in my soul and all the other weirdos are dancing in tune, out of tune, who cares? They are connecting to that symphony and that harmonic that exists in all of us. And that is what you bring to the table. And your work is so powerful. Individuals, children, schools. So in the schools, we blow through, we bring the music, we bring the drama, we bring the art, we bring the creativity of our children, you know, the generation behind, alongside, in front. Everyone's inner child gets to release. And we will write and are writing the curriculum on this planet for our children and what they get. And we, the people, we decide, the mothers, the fathers, the childless, it doesn't matter. We're all part of this unification of consciousness. Get off my soapbox now. All right, now tell us how we can connect to you, how we can find you.
Thank you, Danny. And yes, Jessic is absolutely amazing. Please, may I just speak to Jessic for a moment? Like, it's phenomenal. When I met you in Costa Rica, it was just an idea for you. It was something you were toying with, and Matisse and I were like, do it. Oh my God, yeah, like this would be amazing. It's so needed. And then it happened. And the first one was absolutely amazing. And it was phenomenal. I met some really fantastic people there who are still good friends of mine to this day. And then, yes, my family and I got to go last year. And I really encourage people to go, because that is where you will gain knowledge that you won't find anywhere else. And you will find people from your tribe. Like, I'm not going to cry, because I found 2 of my like soul sisters, Shannon and Kathleen. Like, I love them. They live in the States, so we don't get to see each other as much as we like to, but we still see each other at least 3 times a year, because we make the commitment. We know that we are tribe, and what you are doing, your team, is just so powerful and so very needed and so amazing. And you're such a powerhouse, Danny. You're amazing, and I'm so proud of you, of what you've been able to achieve and what you are doing. Thank you for who you be and what you do. You're so loved. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Marishka. Well, you know, we all have a mission here on this planet. And, you know, it's individual. It could be to create groups. It could to create conference. It doesn't matter. We put so much weight on ourselves to try and figure out. One of the things that sparked my idea for Jessic, for Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, was watching Alex Collier at a conference. And it was an okay conference. But when he stood up with his Andromedan frequency and his 30 years of putting information into the field, the room changed. And nobody was reading the room. The organizers weren't reading the room. And I know there's scheduling of speakers. I understand all that. Now I'm in my 3rd year. I get it. I respect it. I appreciate it. But you have someone like that man. People were standing up against the wall to try and hear him. Okay. So I was with him and Tony Rodriguez, who I also love, brother from another mother. And I thought, I wonder if I could do something where I could bring, and I knew them all the speakers that I have this year again, I know them all personally, I don't just randomly call them up and say, hey, yo, hey, we're all friends and we've all come together, we've all found each other. And so bringing the frequency of all of these people like Dr. Christiane Northrup, Dr. Lee Merritt, Jerry Wills, Jean-Charles Moyen, Melanie Charret, Elena Danan, Dr. Michael Sala, a secret hidden guest who we're going to bring out for the first time ever on stage, and others. I'm sorry, Tony Rodriguez, Alex Collier will be there in the audience with us. He's decided not to speak on any stage this year. Initially, he was going to. You know what? That man is like, Danny, I mean, he retired. We gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2022, managed to get him on stage last year to introduce a few people and be there, but he's just, and then this year he said, yeah, I'll speak. And then he decided that he's going to still stay passing on the baton to Elena Danan and others that he talks about with love and mentions through his mouth, not anybody else's. And that he knows that there's only a certain amount of time that we have to highlight our beautiful speakers and have them share with the beautiful audience, that he didn't want to take up that spot. What are you going to do when you live in a show? I know. And on my channel, guys, if you haven't seen it, yesterday, Sunday, Alex Collier and I did a drop where he came on my channel and we sat together to share with you from his mouth, his insight, his intel, who we be, what his decision is, and that he will be there again at Jessic 2024, which is going to be in Colorado. The nearest airport is Denver. We are not having it in Denver. No, thank you. Sorry to those that live in Denver, not the vibe we want. There's a lot of stuff coming, dismantled systems coming down there too. A lot of people know what happened. And parts of Denver are stunning and beautiful and pristine. But we know that the airport and under the airport and tunnels everywhere, we know it's going down. It's being revealed. So that's the airport. And then you'll get a taxi or whatever, and you will go to a beautiful little town called Westminster. And we've done a hotel buyout, massive skyscape. We're going to see so much more craft that we've seen the first 2 years. And Alex Collier was confirming there were actual physical, real life ETs in the audience last year and the year before, because they are attracted by the audience, by the people speaking on the stage. It is a beautiful gathering and a sacred connection, and you are all invited. And thank you for being such an ambassador for Jessic, because you've been there the last 2 years. And yeah, you were there in my inception point, where I was deciding whether I should do it or not in 2021. And yeah, so very proud.
And here it is,
and
3 years down the line, and look, it's just getting bigger and better as well, if I don't say so. Like, it's just amazing. And you're so right, the people that come to it, it's just off the scale. It's like nothing I've ever experienced. And I have had the privilege of being able to go to other conferences, and there's just nothing like Jessic. There's that real element of like people coming together. Like, I love in the evening where we sit around the fire and we share. People are sharing their stories and their encounters. And some of the speakers come down and they sit and share and chill with you. You can sit and have a conversation with Tony. Alex will come down, and I've not been anywhere really where we interact like that together. And I think that's really wonderful, because then we are growing and unifying together. So yeah, I love it. I love being a part of it. Thank you, Danny. It is wonderful.
Yeah, you were a vendor last year with Matisse, and you bought instruments.
We were a vendor. It was a whole other ball game. I was knackered. I didn't get to play as much as I would usually play because I was busy throughout the day, and then trying to get into the conference when I could, and then putting my little one to sleep, and then trying to like go out in the evening so I could sit by the fire and share and be. But yeah, it was immense. I pretty much didn't sleep for the whole the whole time I was there.
Oh my goodness. Raise a good point. Jessic is not for children. It is not for
No,
children. We are
no,
delivering information that we cannot deliver online because of the policing of the internet. We
yeah,
will not hold back. We will not make make an exception for anyone, not for one person, not for one child will we make an exception. It is a disclosure conference, a rebellious, full medical, military, governmental, alien, ET,
yeah.
hidden technology. Every system you can think of is
Mm.
penetrated in some way with truth on that stage. And you will hear things that you haven't heard, that you cannot hear, that we cannot share here online for fear of being shut down or stricken or whatever. Because that's how the YouTube and BoobTube and police play. Even Rumble's messing around. I got signed out of Rumble the other day. That wasn't me that did that. So
No.
boring. Yeah, it's all right. Who cares? Onwards and upwards.
What a shame. That's pants.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless we make it matter, unless we decide it's got to matter. And then it matters. And then matter becomes solidified. And then it becomes a
Yeah,
physical emotion that can lead to dis-ease. You see, we've got to keep the flow going up and out as we're clearing out right now. Again, um,
absolutely. Whatever you put your attention to that's where your energy is flowing. So, all the crap that's going on in the world right now, if we keep focusing on that, you're feeding it. It's like you're feeding the beast its food, your lush, your energy, right? Whereas if you go, do you know what? No, I'm not even going to acknowledge it anymore. It's a system that's collapsing. Either we're going to collapse under it or we're just going to shift and create our own new reality. And that's where we're at. That's where many of us are at now. We're like, whatever, that stuff's bore me. It bores me. It's a mess. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know it. I'm keeping my gaze on what's to come, the bigger and brighter things. And that's how you stay positive and how you have vital energy and you stay in flow, is keeping it's like your eye on the prize and don't let it veer off. Super important. Yeah. You asked, Danny, how can people connect with us? And Matisse and I have got some super cool things coming up. May I share those, please?
of course, my love.
And one of them are really similar what Danny and I are doing. It's really nice. People are going to get to connect. We've got an up and coming retreat in July, which is going to be working with the sacred instruments. And we're going to take people to sacred sites. We're going to have a private visit into Stonehenge, which it's not heard of, is it, Danny? We're only allowed to go into Stonehenge twice a year,
Right.
only in the winter solstice and the summer solstice, where we're working with this amazing lady who's been in working with crop circles and all this, and working with amazing sacred sites in England. She's been working in this field for over 50 years, and so she's got all the contacts, and she's going to take our guests into Stonehenge for the evening. We'll have our own sunset up there, which will be beautiful. And we'll probably get out drums and have some chanting and have a really cup of cacao, and it'll be beautiful. And then during the day, she's going to take us around to see some sites where crop circles have been made, which is super exciting for me because I absolutely adore crop circles and the powerful healing energies that they emit. So there's that retreat that's coming up in July. There's limited spots, so people need to tap into that if they want to. There's limited spots for everything to go into the Stonehenge to be with Matisse and I, so people would need to make it clear that they want to come to that. And then we've got a family retreat that's coming up in Costa Rica, and that goes back to our work that we've been doing over the years with children and community. We're running a family retreat in Montezuma in Costa Rica, and it's for families. And whatever your family looks like, you might be a single mother, you might be a nan and granddad. It's whatever your family dynamic looks like. And it's a week-long retreat where we will do workshops together, everyone, kids and adults, where we're going to learn how to be more present with one another, how to be more playful, how to be more engaged. Matisse and I will also hold space if stuff needs to be shared, because there's a lot of trauma that goes on and there's no space or time to share. Life is so fast. we're always at it like a freight train, and some big life events happen and we don't give it any space or time to let it breathe and release it. And then there'll be space for the children to go off and be in nature and be cared for and have a wonderful time. And then parents can have their downtime as well. And there can be some workshops happening for parents to learn some tools that they can take back into their environment. So yeah, there's a lot of great things happening over the next year for Matisse and I and what we're offering to people. A lot of love and goodness, and everything we do is created with good intentions and for the greater good. So it'd be lovely to have folks come and join us.
Beautiful, beautiful. How exciting. Two incredible events. And, you know, so many people around the world are obsessed with Stonehenge and want to go there. And the fact that you have a secret, private tour, it's unheard of. Like, you go to Stonehenge and you have to, it's very expensive for a start, you know, for a regular person. And then you have to walk all the way around. You're not allowed to go anywhere near them. You can't, which you could, when I first went there as a kid, when I was 9, you could touch them, you could be there. But now there's all these people like walking around like sheep, following all the way around. You know, at one point there is beyond the rope a heel stone, a giant heel stone, which I did actually touch because it's not going to hurt it. It's been there thousands and thousands of years. But it's very anal, national heritage, British heritage, national heritage. What's the body that manages a lot of these sacred sites and castles and stately homes? English heritage, national heritage, it's called something like that.
I think it's national heritage.
Yeah, the governing body. And I remember that I was walking, stepping over the rope because I was years ago, and the guard stopped me and he goes, "You can't go there." And I said, "Why not?" I said, you need to tell people why. Don't assume that these people are idiots. Don't insult them. Tell them why. He goes, "Well, we own them." I'm like, "You don't own them." "No, we do own them." I said, "No, you don't own the stones. Nobody owns the stones." And there was years and years ago, some wealthy guy in the 30s, I think, was, you know, bought the land and bought the, I mean, get lost. Anyone that tries to commandeer sacred sites, that's our history, which dictates our future and our present. They're the stories that we as a humanity need, you know, for our own. Anyway, in the end, he, you know, he got down off his high horse and I said, "No, you're a custodian." He goes, "Okay, yeah, we're a custodian." And they said that some of the land inside the circle was starting to collapse a little bit. That's why they had these poles in. And I'm like, "Well, is that including the tunnels underneath, or should we not go there?" Of course, he had no clue, you know. But anyway, I said, "Well, then tell people at least the reason why you don't let the masses stand is because you're worried about things collapsing." We're going to believe that one. But anyway, at least do that. So we got to, everyone needs to up level. Now, in terms of up leveling, you raised such a good point in the darkness that is being taken down as we individuals rise up. I would recommend to people, don't fall on the sword, especially for a celebrity, especially for someone online, especially for someone you're never going to meet. People are out fighting in the name of this person and that person. Why? They don't care about you. They don't even know you. We are at a point of our own beautification, our unification, our healing. Now, the dark soulless ones are going to start coming everywhere and begging and pleading because their lushing is being cut off. They've been plugging into us for our serenity, our forgiveness, our kindness, our compassion. And now I recommend, your decision, of course, focus on compassion for self, build up self, forgive everyone after the war is won, forgive everyone later. But right now, stop giving parts of your beautiful frequency energy away to people who don't care about you. It's like lending someone money who is really in need. And then the minute you give it, they're gone. They never pay it back and they never even talk to you again. You know, it's that kind of example, you know, that many of us have experienced, or, you know, you doing your best, putting them up, taking them in your home, feeding them, you know, helping them. And then they're done. And then you suddenly hit hard times and they're nowhere to be seen. They, or you, as happened to me, put your money into a hair product company that is suddenly all around the world and they cut you out and you don't get a penny. I mean, those kinds of things. It's like enough of the giving out, enough of the output. You're as safe as you're going to be right now. Another reason why people go there, they want to feel safe. So they give, and empty themselves out. My loves, we need all of our strength in this vessel right now. You need to get on a call with Marishka and Matisse and have them link in so they can create a beautiful healing sound bath just for you that you can plug into and listen to the frequency. And each time you do that, you're going to heal a different part of your vessel, you know, of your ship, of your container, of your beautiful, beautiful avatar, your body, whatever you call it. So beautiful, beautiful. Well, Marishka, let me ask you to deliver a final thought for our beautiful audience.
Compassion, forgiveness, and love. I think that having compassion for yourself is incredibly important. We can be really, really hard on ourselves. And it's often until we have the really big wins, then we're like, yeah, you know, we feel successful and we feel big and we feel mighty and we're glowing and we're great. But those are few and far few in between. So it's about all those little wins along the way. And even if you haven't got little wins, just waking up in the morning and facing the day is a win. You're alive, you know? So I think having compassion for yourself and then being able to have compassion for others and any circumstances that you're going through, having compassion. If you can go through life with a lens of compassion on, it all becomes so much more softer and easier to manage. And then forgiveness, once again, it always has to start with you. Forgiveness to yourself for things that you've done that you know don't help you, don't help others, not serving the situation around you. Release it, let it go. This journey is way too fast to carry around stuff that's heavy and doesn't serve you. And if others have done ill towards you, forgive, release, let it go. I know it sounds easy, but we have to do it. It's incredibly important because a lot of the time they don't even realize that they've hurt you. They don't give a shit. If we hold all of that torture inside our souls, it turns into poison. And ultimately, it really affects us. They don't realize. Release it, let it go. Say prayers into it. You know, we've got to cut those soul ties. It's super important to cut ourselves off from things that have happened to us, from people that have been in our lives that have been unkind. Release, forgive, release. Super, super important, I think. And then ultimately love, and whatever love looks like for you. You know, we all have a different way of loving one another. We all have a different way of receiving love. We show up to love in different ways, whatever that looks like for you. For me, love is, I love being in nature. I love to dance. I love to be around people. I love to feed folks. So I try and put myself in places where I can love and I can be loved. It's not just about loving on folks. It's being open to receive it also, feeling worthy to receive the love. You are worthy. You are worthy. And that's something that I really do in my work a lot with people as well, is helping them to pull off all of those things, all the like the masks and the layers of the unworthiness. You know, they don't show up to life as their true authentic selves because they've got so much crap all over them, and they play small because they don't want others to feel uncomfortable in their light and in their beauty. No, no, no. Release it, let it go. You are love. You've been made from love. You are here to be loved. And then your love is needed. No one has the same colors as you. You know, it's like we've all got these different palettes. You know, I see love as like as colors. It's like a love smudge. You can go somewhere and it can be a bit dull and a bit grey and a bit boring, and you can go in and just smudge your love vibes around, you know, get some pinks and purples in there. So that would be for me, yeah, compassion, forgiveness, and love. And everything has to start with you, and then you are able to work with the outside world. But it's all about your internal journey, without a doubt.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Marishka. Again, there's a lot of travel people are doing this year. They're on their explorative journeys, you know, coming to Stonehenge with you to see the crop circles, etc., coming to Costa Rica for your retreat. And also, I've got 10 spots left, guys, in England, in Sussex. We're going to visit Sussex, and I'm going to take you to some of the most beautiful and most ancient churches and buildings, and the stained glass windows alone. Do you know a couple of the churches that we're going to go to actually have dragons, ancient dragons, stained glass windows? Dragons in the churches. What are they doing there? They shouldn't be there. So many things, so many ways to go. We're going to end up in Glastonbury, which is a beautiful sacred spiritual town. It's where King Arthur is buried and other Saxon kings too. There's so much there. So it's going to be in May. I will be there. We'll be taking a beautiful coach. There's only 10 spots left. So if you're interested, you can leave a message in the comments. But the email to go to is info@Galactic Spiritual Informers, info@Galactic Spiritual Informers, and then the team will respond to you from there. Marishka, Richet, I love you. It's an honor to have you. Thank you for gracing us. Thank you for sharing your brilliance, your genius, and your music. I cannot wait to have people that have spent time with you to share their experience and the sound bath that you make individually for them. I'll have them on my channel and we can share the healing that music actually does for us. Thank you, love.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. And you are so loved. You are carried in our hearts. And thank you. I'm so glad that we are tribe. I love you, sister.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to you guys there, you know, we're finding our tribe, we're coming together, we're helping with the unification of the masses, but also the individuation of self. And that's what we really, really want to focus on. So be kind to you, be loving to you. I send love to you from my heart to yours, and we'll see you soon.